Greetings, fellow moviegoers, and welcome to Movie Central, the place to talk about movies, TV shows based on movies, toys based on movies, games based on movies, and rides based on movies. I'm your host, Mr. CCS, and this is my pet gorilla, George. Let's talk about the beloved novella, Peter Pan. Published on December 27th, 1904, by Scottish novelist and playwright J.M. Barrie, Peter Pan tells the story of a young boy who lives in a place where children live as only children. The book was revitalizing Barrie's status as a playwright and a novelist, and it also helped inspire the play that came around at the same time. If you want an in-depth look at that very story, then go ahead and watch the 2004 film Finding Neverland, starring Johnny Depp and Kate Winslet. Trust me, it is excellent. Anyways, this very novella is yet another story that inspired a young Walt Disney, so obviously he had his hand in adapting it to animation. It quickly became one of Disney's most beloved features to date, and is still widely regarded as one of the greatest animated films of all time. But everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and it's time to state mine. This is Walt Disney's Peter Pan. In this Disney animated film, Wendy, voiced by Catherine Beaumont, who also voiced Alice in Alice in Wonderland 2 years prior, and her two brothers are amazed by a magical boy, Peter Pan, who flies into their bedroom, supposedly in pursuit of his rebellious shadow. He and his furry friend Tinkerbell come from a far-off place called Neverland, where children stay perpetually young. Enchanted, the kids follow him back, but when Pan's nemesis, the pirate Captain Hook, played by Hans Conried, causes trouble, the kids begin to miss their old life. So, like the other two Disney animated films based on books that I talked about, it's basically a retelling of the novella. But also, it contains several elements that make it Disney-fied. So why not talk about what makes the film what it is? First, the characters. Peter Pan's character can't really be changed in any version of the story, and the adaptation here, in my opinion, is the best version of the character. His design makes him look like a teenager, which is definitely how he's supposed to be like. For Wendy, it may be distracting for some that she's voiced by the same actress who did Alice 2 years prior, and to that I say, it was the 50s. Cut them some slack. Her character is very uptight and motherly, which is how she should be, because that was her entire character arc. As for her brothers, Michael and John offer some great comedy. Quick fun fact, Overhead Voice, who's been on hiatus for like 6 months now, played John in a stage production of Peter Pan, but I guess I shouldn't talk about him behind his back. The characters in the animation are pretty good, and they add great comedy, specifically in the scene where they're fighting off the native braves. We'll get to them in a moment. As for Tinkerbell, this movie was meant for kids, right? She's way too you-know-what to be classified as a kids' movie character, but she's still pretty hilarious nonetheless. As for the villain, Captain Hook is one of the best Disney villains I've ever had the pleasure of laying my hands and eyes on. I mean, the guy straight up shoots somebody because he was singing too loud. Yowzas. That doesn't mean he isn't afraid of one killer crocodile, who I really think should be voiced by someone with a southern accent in a dub or something, but now I'm just thinking out loud. As for the character I usually like the least in the versions of the story, Smee here is actually well done. His comedic timing works in every scene he's in, and his design is what I think of when I think of Smee. Anyways, that's it for the major characters, unless you count characters like the Lost Boys, the Parents, the Mermaids, and the Pirates as major players, which I do not. But there is one more group of characters I need to talk about. Now, heads up, there will be some controversial topics discussed here, so please be warned. Here we go. The native braves were a part of the original book, and they make an appearance here. And they are some of the most racist adaptations of Native Americans or indigenous tribes. First off, they're called Indians, thanks to that false hero Columbus. And they sing a song called What Makes the Red Man Red. And the biggest part of what makes that suck so hard is that the reason their skin turns red is that after they were kissed, they blushed so hard that their skin turned red. That is insulting. Thankfully, TV versions have cut out the song, and the play that Overhead Voice was in changed the song to What Makes the Brave Man Brave, which is about how they became the brave warriors they are. Whatever, I need to move on before my brain starts to hurt. So, how's the animation? Like the previous three movies I had reviewed, the animation is absolutely beautiful, and it brings the world of Neverland to life in a way I have never seen before. As for the score and songs, Oliver Wallace lends his hand in creating a memorable score for some great songs, like "You Can Fly," "Following the Leader," and "Never Smile at a Crocodile." Although he was also responsible for this. Ugh. Anyways, let's get to my final verdict. Despite the negative depiction of indigenous people, the rest of Peter Pan is a great and well-made Disney film, which I recommend to you on a day you want to feel young. With that, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Fly to the second star to the right and straight on till morning to reach this mostly wonderful destination. Well, that's it for this review. Feel free to leave your thoughts on the movie in the comments section below, and tune in next week when I take a look at Robin Hood. With that said, my name is Mr. CCS, this is Movie Central, and that, my friends, is a wrap. See you next week.